You never know. My brain is just gonna
You never know with
freeze up. Hey, we're
any
live,
of our
Scott.
brains, Ellis. How you doing, Ellis?
Hey, pretty good. Let me start by saying this one thing. It was kind of funny because I walked by the library today. This librarian handed me this thing, and I said, "Oh, well, thank you." And I put it in my back pocket, and then I looked at it later. I said, "Hey, look at this! I want this." There's a free four-piece organizer set, a little floppy, kind of stuff with zippers on it. So I went
Oh,
back to her today because I couldn't understand what I had to do to get it. And I showed it to her. I said, how do you go about, claiming this stuff? And she said, oh, that was your bookmark in the book when you checked it back in. I said, yeah, it sure is. And it's like, wow, what an idiot. Well, thanks a lot.
oh,
Walked
so
up.
you thought you go. Oh, wait. Let me hold that back up again. I wasn't
Okay,
looking at
this
it.
is
Let me look at it. Oh gosh, my head's right in the way.
your welcome back gift. Yeah, I should have told you that. I saw your hair. Your
Yeah,
welcome back gift. Free four-piece organizer kit. It's quite a bit of stuff here.
yeah.
I have no idea. Is it? I had to become a member, and I thought, well, I wonder what I got to become a member of. So I had to. But
And she said this
it's a
was
nice
in.
stiff piece of cardboard that
Yeah.
I said automatically said, hey, that'd make a good bookmark.
Oh gosh, I have all kinds of stuff I use for bookmarks, and it's
Yeah,
typically stuff like that. It's like
yeah.
whatever. I have several Borders books bookmarks floating around in various books where it's like I don't really want to lose that just because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
there's no more Borders.
It
You
was
know.
in Kingdom of Speech by Tom Wolfe.
Oh, I am listening to a Tom Wolfe book right. Well, not right now, but I've been listening to a Tom Wolfe book. Bonfire of the Vanities.
I'll be. That's actually that's so much a better book than it was a movie. Yeah,
Oh, that's what I heard. Well,
that's the Brian De Palma one where he
yeah.
he doesn't even make excuses. He says, yeah, 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 it's a bad movie, big deal. Yeah,
I love that. You gotta
yeah.
love that. Uh, so okay, so I don't know if we should talk about this in the air, but I'm
Go
gonna go
ahead.
work. I'm gonna go work tomorrow at around 10 o'clock. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go to your house. I'll call you on the way. I'll pick you up. I'll take you to the car place, and
Excellent.
you can pick
Yeah,
up your car. Is that
Scott
is
is
that?
going to be picking me up, and I just told him it's been 20 days I've been without a car because of some things you could point to and say, Goodson, you're an idiot.
No,
And some
no.
things you could point to and say, hey, man, that's just somebody
You had some bad luck.
just couldn't figure things out quickly enough,
Well,
that you can't do it all, basically. And that
well,
some of the things that you think you're doing, I just discovered that they were pointless because I had other things that were wrong with it.
well, yeah, and it didn't help that the tow truck messed up your radiator.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, they at least didn't total my car, which was my early
That
judgment.
was
I actually have a thing I've got to respond to within 7 days. Apparently, they finally got back to me saying, "Hey,
don't
give us all the material, and we'll tell you whether or not we're going to pay you anything from AAA." I
It would
told
be
them
nice if they at least paid for
the
the
radiator,
radiator, and I
my
think they,
labor, which is
well,
I think about $100,000 at this point.
it sure feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I love cars. I love mechanical things, but that's why I don't work on cars because it's just so
yeah,
frustrating, and
yeah, yeah.
if you don't, and I've never had an extra car where it's like, oh, this is my toy I'm gonna tinker with,
Uh,
and I don't enjoy tinkering with them that much.
no.
I mean, but I like cars. I mean,
I would if I was, Jay Leno and I had every
oh, sure,
tool
yeah, yeah,
imaginable
no,
that could.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
the
and they actually machine tools. They don't have a tool. They go over to the lathe and make a tool.
Oh yeah, or the CNC, and he'll cut one out of a block of steel. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that would be okay.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think I think I'd just be like, I'll just buy nice cars.
Hmm.
But he's got some cars that you can't get parts for, so I
Yeah,
get
and of
that.
course he also thought
As a full-time
wrenching.
mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, he thought wrenching was a good idea when he caught himself on fire too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, working on a car can be dangerous. I mean, I
Oh
know
yeah.
somebody. Well, I know. I met. There was a family that came to my church, and the woman had lost her husband because he was working on a car and he was under the car and the car fell on him.
Oh yeah, yeah, that kind of
You know,
stuff.
I mean, that's
I
very,
was constantly looking around saying, "What am I about to do wrong?" Well, I
yeah,
was working on this car.
yeah, because it could have happened. But
Yeah,
I mean, but it is good. I don't know. I like cars, but yeah, I'm not really. And I've gone through phases where I'm like, I want to buy me an old car,
yeah,
and I've
by
and
trouble.
any well anymore it's like no way because any old cars I want would cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But back in the '90s, you could buy like a '60s Chevelle or Malibu as long as you didn't want something
Yeah.
super crazy, and it wasn't that expensive at all. And I looked at several. At one time, I was hot to get a Mustang, and a Mustang now just costs you a fortune,
As
But I
I,
didn't. I
I
didn't.
walked by a old Ford Ranchero that a guy that if he had any sense, he'd kind of flip it like he flip a house. He'd put it in a little better shape and sell
Yeah,
that thing.
yeah. I know. I have known. I don't know if I currently know anybody who does this, but I've known people that've done that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Not necessarily with older. They'll buy junky cars, fix them up, and then flip them. And they
Yeah.
make pretty good money supposedly. Um, but out of all this, you did get a Conan book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We finally got in touch. You got a Conan book, and
Yeah.
I'll stick this bookmark in it. Hey, your hair is 99% of the image, Scott.
Golly, I don't know what's
If you
going on.
if you can ever
Whoa.
figure out how to do it, you'll
Hang on just a second. I'm going to
okay.
adjust this thing. I've
Okay.
got, I've got my, I think it's too far this way. I think I need to go like, oh, that's
Oh,
not,
sheesh.
yikes.
No, don't
Don't
talk about
die.
working on cars. Can't even.
I can't even move a camera. Who's
No,
going to
I
work?
thought about hazards the whole time I was doing it. Even when I was doing like using penetrating fluid on those nuts and stuff, trying to get stuff loose. It's like this stuff is about to squirt back, hit me in the eye, and
Yeah, blind me.
there will be an eye. We were talking about blindness the other day, and it's like,
Jeez.
yeah, that'd be a cool trick, Goodson. You know, put out
Yeah.
an eye, working on a
Well,
stupid car.
yeah. Well, you got it fixed, and it was a
Yeah,
reasonable about much more reasonable than a new car
yeah,
or a
oh
newer
yeah.
car. You know. And by the way, this is why I drive, and plus I'm working. You're not working. You're retired, but I mean that's my theory about cars is you buy a new car and you drive it for a while, you pay it off, take care of it, and then you do it again when it gets a little long in the tooth.
Yep. Well,
And as long as
that'd be yeah, but like you say, the going into Hawk for one sure makes you think twice when you don't
yeah,
have too much money.
right, yeah. Well, yeah.
And now what I've done is I put myself on the radar of everybody selling cars. It's like everybody I reached out to now has me on their
Well,
short list of
that's
get a
okay.
hold of him every morning till
Oh,
till he gives in and
we got a new kid with
yeah,
450,000 miles. It's only 3 grand, Ellis Goodson. You could
yeah,
afford that.
yeah.
Hey, you never know. You may find something you want,
You
but
never know. You never know.
but I'm kind of with you. And plus, I like your truck as we were talking about. They don't make it's a short it's a '03 Tacoma, and
Hmm.
they make Tacomas, but they're like twice as big
Oh
now.
yeah,
They're
they're big old
huge,
trucks.
and I don't. I would if I could find. Oh, I say this, and Ford just started making the Maverick, which is a small truck, but it's a little more. It's a little more than yours in terms of like kind of what it's up to.
Hmm.
It's not as yours is pretty. I don't want to say basic. Can I say basic? I guess
Oh
I can say
yeah, sure. I mean, it is a
it's a
small
truck,
little truck.
which they don't make anymore.
Yeah, it's a step up from a Brat in terms of like I say step up. It's just more mass than a Brat, but
Yeah,
it's
it's bigger, a little bit
yeah,
bigger.
It's along those lines, just a little bit bigger than a Brat, and it's a cool little truck. It has. Oh man, I've driven its guts out from Simi Valley to Santa Monica every day for a solid year, and then I moved to Culver City to where I didn't have to commute so much, and then I was laid off within about a year, but I got a lot of good out of being so close to work there for a long time, and that was good. I think of all the places I've moved in California, and half the time the motivation is entirely that hellish commute. It's like,
Oh gosh.
I got to
Yeah.
get closer to that job. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. So I work like 18 miles away from my house, I think, depending on how you go, but it's like roughly 18 or 19 miles. And
hmm
I can do it in anywhere between, because my car keeps track. When you drive and you stop, it'll tell you how long your trip was, tell you how far it was and how many minutes it was. And so I've been watching it, and it's anywhere between like 24 minutes to about 28 minutes
uh-huh.
so far. So it's pretty quick. It's been pretty quick. I haven't got stuck in real bad traffic since I've been checking it out. But it's like, man, that's nothing,
Oh yeah,
relatively some
it
places.
was typical. Well, I was so glad to discover this backcountry route that I used for most of the time I commuted from that Simi Valley to Santa Monica. I, I became intimately acquainted with the Topanga and Old Topanga
No, yeah.
route through there, and it was so cool. I mean, I thought about it as I would would drive through there about all the people that were smart enough to say, "Hey, we can step away from Hollywood for about 15 minutes down the road and be in this leafy hillside place."
Is that where Frank Zappa lived? No, he
I,
was. He
I'm not
was.
sure. I think he was in Topanga
I
Canyon,
think
and
he was. He was in something canyon.
yeah, Neil Young was in there. Yeah, there was. Well, of course, the sound, the music from the canyon. That's that's a different canyon, but it's more that's more central to the L.A. area. You step into a different canyon for that.
No, yeah. Well, Zappa lived in somewhere that it was kind of out of the you know
hmm
area or whatever. But
You
anyway,
can very quickly remove yourself from feeling like you're in the city around L.A. It's not that hard, but it's
I, I I've seen Under the Silver Lake.
yes, exactly.
Like what? Yeah.
I can do
Um,
that. I could live there and not feel like I was.
living on top of each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, that I'm glad that the car. Hopefully, the car adventure is.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm dealing with people I haven't dealt with, but I tell you what, if they do me good on this, they're my new mechanic. I'm tired of this Firestone stuff. They're exactly the same distance as Firestone,
Oh,
and
really?
pretty much. Well, no, I guess
Uh,
Firestone's a little closer, but
yeah, but who cares? I mean,
yeah,
that's.
exactly.
I mean, you got it's a hassle to deal with either way. So
Yeah, I mean, but just as a factor, if it turns out you've got to walk after you turn the car in, it's like,
yeah,
well,
but
at
you
least I'd be that much closer.
call me. I
Yeah,
mean, if worst comes to worst, I'll tell you I can't. Like today, I'll tell you I'm sorry I can't pick you up.
yeah,
I
yeah. I
couldn't
called you. Hey,
leave.
hey,
Well,
Scott, good news.
good news.
That
My
ride
car.
you're going to give me.
Yeah,
Oh,
is it ready? It's like, well, I'm sorry I can't leave work.
oh, okay, yeah. And I like it.
Well,
I like that the fact that no, I can't leave work.
yeah, yeah, that
That
should
was, uh,
make you feel good about not working. So,
yeah, exactly. No, no, you were stuck at work doing something.
well, well, and also I was looking at my watch and I was going, I don't think I can make it over there.
Yeah,
And I think it would have been tight on time. I couldn't have
yeah.
left immediately. I was in a meeting when you called.
They would have been mad at us if they'd ended
You
up
know, waited.
sticking it. Well, they go to this trouble. They stick them in a what do you call it, in a fenced area. So they move them. So
Oh, oh yeah,
they might have had to unmove it.
yeah, Yeah, it was. As the guy that is not missing his car, I think it worked out okay. I
Hmm.
was trying to figure out if I could take you by there on the way to work, but I think you'd have to wait because didn't you say they open at 8?
They open at 8. You can do that though if that is more
No,
economical. No,
no,
they've got a 7-Eleven right there.
no. I
Minute.
don't. I because I'd have to leave work. I'd have to leave the house too early.
Okay.
I'll do it. I'll do it when I get off. I'm only going to work till about 10 tomorrow. I don't have much. Tomorrow's one of those great Fridays where it's like people go, "When can you leave?" or "What time you leaving?" And it's like I'm leaving as soon as I get everything done. You know,
Yeah.
which I mean can be a double-edged sword, of course. But anyway, hey, so I got something else I want to talk about.
Okay. Let's talk about it.
So I got a package in the mail today. This is the comic book that Dan wrote, and a part of it I drew. It's the Antarctic Press Superverse Festivus Special first issue collector's item. It's the Antarctic Press Christmas book,
Ah,
and there's the story that Dan wrote and I
I
drew.
I remember that. Look at
Yep,
that. That
yeah,
looks pretty damn good. Look at that.
yeah, yeah. It looks real good.
Cool.
Anyway,
Hey, let me solo on that. Start over again.
okay. No, no, no. I want people to buy it.
Okay.
No, no,
No,
no.
they, they
No,
can't.
no,
They can't
no.
read it from this. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Okay. So,
Get up close. Center it up. Look at your feedback there.
okay.
There you go. Look at
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So this is Tomorrow Girl, a Tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
Girl story, which is Ben Dunn's character from Antarctic Press, and I love the title, Invaders from Planet Xmas.
Uh-huh.
And so it's the story of these aliens that invade whatever town Tomorrow Girl lives in. I forget the name of it. And on Christmas, and they're trying to cause havoc, but Tomorrow Girl foils them.
Yeah. Look like little
Yeah.
Mr. Mix Tickle Lips or
Yes.
whatever his
Yes.
name is. Yeah.
Well. The thing is, they were disguised as elves, so I kind of
Mm-hmm.
played up that look. But anyway, that's yeah. So that's the first story I've ever done for Antarctic Press, which is really cool. I've wanted to do something for Antarctic Press forever because Antarctic Press is semi-local to the area. They're down in Dallas, and so I
Uh-huh.
feel I feel like they're kind of local, but they're not a real big company. But they've been around since the
But they're the
80s.
real deal. They put
They're
out comic books like nobody's business. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they're exactly, and they do some pretty good books. And Ben Dunn, the one of the co-owner, I think he is, and kind of the main talent, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
is a pretty good artist, and I've met him at a couple cons, and he's a pretty good guy. And I mean, it's I mean, the money I got for that is, let's put it this way: when Dan contacted me and said, "Hey, we got good news, we got to share the profits," and he offered me mine, or he said, send me your PayPal, and it just galls me that you got to pay PayPal to transfer money. And so I said, well, why don't you just take mine and use it, put it in the studio war chest,
Mm-hmm.
and that way, it'll help defray. For example, he mailed me the comic book today, and I don't feel these comics, and I don't feel guilty about it because I've given him a little bit of money to
Yeah.
cover for this kind of stuff. So,
Very cool. I'm very impressed because nothing changes about that. That is always a book that got published, and there it is, part of the
yep,
body of work. Pretty cool.
yeah, and I did Heaven's Rejects, and it got published, but the publisher didn't support it. Certainly didn't pay me any money, and even though this was not a lot of money by any stretch of the imagination, just the fact that I got something is
Mm-hmm.
means something. I asked Dan, did we get a check? And he said, because I was like, I at least want, you can keep the money, but send me a copy of the check. But he said, no, it's PayPal. So but anyway, all the funds went to Dan to disperse, unless of
Yeah.
course Dan got this huge booty
No.
and then is now ripping us all off. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Like the yeah, like that Archie Goodwin story. I forget the name of it, where
No,
this one
yeah,
guy has three freelancers working for him very lucratively. It's like, hey, and those three freelancers just happened to all get together at a bar, and they
I
learned that, hey, wait a second, I ink it, you
yeah
pencil it, you
yeah.
letter it.
What's this cat doing?
What is this guy doing? Yeah, I think one of them wrote it too. So
Yeah, yeah, they were doing that.
they go to confront him, and he shoots all
I
three
was
of
gonna
them.
say, doesn't he shoot him?
Yeah, he shoots all three of them, and they come back, of course, just like Creep Show.
Yeah. The yeah, I am convinced that some of that happens in comics.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it happens to an extent in terms of like the talent passes around. Somebody that you could always point. I mean, guys like Kirby and Ditko are pointing out that, hey, man, this whole thing grinds to a halt without me. Why am I not getting a little more money for this? Why am I not getting more
Yeah.
than piecework money for it?
Yeah.
But
What's this work for
but that
hire
was part
bull?
of the agreement. That
That
was
was
part
part
of
of
the
the
work for
agreement.
hire kind of setup.
Yeah, it's yeah. John Byrne has taken a lot of flack because famously he said, I'm a cog in a machine, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to be a cog in the machine. And I mean, I get that. I mean, I just did that comic and I didn't make any money off of it. And
Hmm.
Heaven's Rejects, I paid for the colorist and I didn't get any money out of it. So I mean, at least the guys that are doing or were doing whatever for Marvel, they had at least they were working on properties and they had the ability to make money outside of that, I guess.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
they and guys like Ditko eventually somebody did hand him big money and said, just let's make each other happy here, Steve.
yeah,
Here's a
don't,
lot of money. Does this make you happy enough to not kick about it? And I think he said yes, and he never kicked.
well, I mean, that's the funny thing is everybody acts like, well, but yeah, I think he was getting,
Yeah,
he was
I,
getting royalties
I
of
forget
some
who
sort.
said I forget who said that they saw some pretty big
Check,
money.
yeah,
Yeah,
some
big
big,
check.
and he deserved it, by the way.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
oh yeah.
but uh, anyway, but yeah, so I'm drawing this.
Hey, that's a pretty good Vertigo scene. I dig Vertigo moments. Yeah,
Oh, do
what you're working
you?
on there. Yeah,
Oh, I gotta send you. If I can find it, I'll email you this picture that I have at work. That every time I look at it, it makes my head swim. It's a guy in New York City, and I think he's a photographer, and he's sitting on a ledge. He's got his feet dangling up, and I don't think you can see the ground exactly, but you can see he's way up. And the way it's
yeah,
shot, it's just like, oh, it's
yeah.
just
Those
stomach curling.
goofs that take shots of themselves. They've had several of those guys that have just said,
Oh
"Uh
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I'm gone.
I'm dead.
I'm dead."
I misjumped that one. Yeah,
Yep.
there's a great Instagram page called America's Got No Talent, and it's literally like just people just falling and wiping out, wrecking motorcycles,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
sometimes it's like, oh, that guy really got hurt.
yeah.
I don't know if I kind of feel bad laughing at this, but it doesn't make it any less funny, but it makes me feel
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Fail Army, I think, is the one
Yeah,
I see a lot of.
yeah, similar kind of thing. Anyway, so do we have any comments? Have
Oh,
you looked?
not that I noticed.
Okay,
So
I
nobody
didn't.
has found us, and of course I just promoted the heck out of it. No, I haven't done anything in terms of like promoting it. I was thinking about that though. I was going to send out some review copies of my little paperback. Oh, by the way, this segment is called "Branded to Kill." Have you ever seen that Japanese movie?
Uh-uh.
It's pretty easy on the senses because it's really goofy and well done, and I'm watching it now. I'm only halfway through it, but it's by a director that he did Tokyo Drifter too, which you can get at our library, but this one for some reason they're leaving out. It's not, even though it is a Criterion spine,
Hmm.
it's just one of them they've left out of our library.
Okay, so what's the Tokyo Drifter? Not Tokyo Drift, but Tokyo.
No, it's Branded to Kill, and Tokyo Drifter is the one that they actually have of this particular director. And apparently he made Tokyo Drifter first, and that one's known for its just wild color. You know, it's got some really cool style and color and
Oh
all
yeah.
that. And Branded to Kill is in black and white, and it's about a hitman in a totally alternate universe where the hitmen are all ranked and they all know each other's ranking and all like
No,
that.
kind of like the 10th victim or something like that.
Yeah, and this guy, yeah, exactly like that. And this guy knows that he's number three, and he just wonders if number one even exists. So I've got to see how that plays out. But it's really cool because it's allegedly edited in one day, which I call BS on. You don't edit a movie in one day, but it's it does look like it was carelessly done. But the effect on that is that, I've got to make up a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing because a lot of it just jumps all over the place. It's like,
Oh yeah. So it's
and
like,
it's,
huh? Did I
yeah,
see
well,
the movie I thought I saw?
yeah, it's like, wait a minute, why did we jump to this point when we
Oh
were at that
gosh.
point?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. But and it's amazing how many people consider it, just one of the great movies because of just the styling that's done in it.
But this is Branded to Kill.
Branded to
What's
Kill, which he was supposedly after he got done with this one, his boss and the producers of it all looked at it, said this is
this is garbage.
unreleasable. Yeah, garbage.
Unreleasable.
Put it on a shelf. He sued for both money and to get it out there. They put it out, and then he didn't work for 10 years. So
Oh,
it's kind of fascinating that this film, which a lot of people point to and say, "Hey, man, Tarantino and people point to this film as a big influence on him," and it's like
about killed his career or did
he
kill his
just
career.
about killed his career. Yeah.
It's funny you say that. I was watching a movie and I cannot remember the name of the movie, but and if I said it, you might know the movie. But it was kind of a '60s movie, and I don't know why I got it, but something about it at the library it just caught my eye, and so I checked this thing out. I'm like, this movie's horrible, and I'm reading about it, and and it was like I think it may have had Warden Beatty in it, or he was a producer or something, and he insisted that they hire a female director, and
It's
so
yeah.
so they you know what the movie is? Are you familiar with this? No.
Yeah, it's got Dustin Hoffman in it,
Yep.
and it's what is that called? That is called it's a famous title because everybody made jokes about it for 3 years
Well,
afterwards.
yeah, well, and it killed the girl's career, and it took her like 20 years to make another movie or something like that. And it's like he pushed for her to make it, but she was unqualified. But he like stuck his neck out and was like, "Hey, no, no, no." It's like if
Well,
you don't,
she was a hugely talented Ishtar.
no, it wasn't Ishtar. Ishtar may have been her follow up. No, the
What?
one,
No,
no,
it
the one.
can't be any other movie. I'm sorry, it's Ishtar.
Oh, okay. You're right.
Well,
No, I saw Ishtar. It was no, no, no. I'll think of it. I'll tell you when I think of it.
her name is, I'll tell you because her name is Elaine May,
Okay.
and it's Ishtar.
What did she do before Ishtar though?
Okay. She's the writer and director, and that's what she was most known for. She's a great writer. She was known for, oops. I opened her photos. I don't want your photos. I want your movies. She was no California Sweet.
No, I don't think we're talking about the
Oh,
same person.
she's also an actress though. See, she's an actress. Director, she's only directed 5. She directed Mikey and Nikki, The Heartbreak
Oh
Kid. Now
no, no,
that'll
no.
get you noticed. The Heartbreak Kid was a good
Yeah,
movie.
this is not her. This is somebody else.
Huh. I
Uh,
can't
the,
believe it. Beatty.
and unfortunately, I'm filming on my phone, so I can't look it up.
Well, okay. Now I want to know
And I
what happened to your head the moment you realized it was Ishtar.
okay. It wasn't Ishtar because I saw Ishtar at the theaters, and I would never have checked that movie out of the library.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess yeah. I guess if you're forewarned.
Yeah, no, no, no. No, I'm not
Well, I
watching
mean,
Ishtar.
I'm trying to think. Could it have been? I'll look up Warren Beatty here.
Okay,
See what
hang
all he
on,
got up to.
hang on.
Primary colors,
Don't.
maybe.
I'm gonna look for it, but you're gonna lose me for a second. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna look for it. I'll be back. Watch for me to
Okay.
pop back.
Okay. He's gonna go get the DVD disc of whatever he thinks he is talking about. And as an actor, Dick Tracy has been in. Oh, it looks like they've got. For some reason, these things get in the air, and all of a sudden, Dick Tracy is making its way back through the rounds. And I remember that as one of my first San Diego experiences was meeting Shell Dorf. Very, very, I mean, days within when I arrived in San Diego. And Shell was totally embroiled in helping. He thought he was helping uh, Warren Beatty make Dick Tracy because he was clipping all the work from and it worked actually worked for Kniff as a letterer on well, of course Dick Tracy wasn't Kniff. He just had this relationship where he was able to publish those strips with who was that publisher putting out all those daily strips in California at the time. This was right before it may have had something to do with Pacific Comics. But so anyway, he had that arrangement and then kept a little money trickling in, and he actually worked for Kniff on Steve Canyon doing the lettering. Let me see, and he thought he was helping Warren Beatty. He will always make me laugh to think that uh, Sheldorf was under the impression that Warren Beatty wasn't answering his calls. No, Warren Beatty directed Bulworth. Can't be that one. Let's see, Dick Tracy. There've been a few specials on Dick Tracy. You know, Dick Tracy had its strengths. He hadn't made many movies since Dick Tracy, if you want to get right down to it. I think he felt like he'd done his main creative. I wonder if I have to do something to get Scott back when he wants back. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. He should be back before long. I am just doing my usual. I'm using a big semi-blunt pen to. I consider it, my special talent to doodle without preliminaries sometime, but then you look at some guy like Kim Jong-gi and realize you don't have a talent. It's like, well, I can't draw a motorcycle down to every sprocket on it, that's for sure. I keep it simple. Little vignettes. I was reading a little Twitter action, and Mike Milner, who I used to be on Drawn and Quartered with, has lately taken to animating with, I believe it's just in Procreate. And the guy is quite the animator. And of course, he's a real accomplished artist. Anybody that can invent the figure out of his head the way that Mike Miller does, or all these really rare talents that can just nail every aspect. And it takes putting the time in. That's all it takes. Is you got to do your due diligence of just coming to it, returning to it as a discipline, get all the study in, and you can do what some of these guys do. But I wonder though about that. You have to also be blessed or cursed with something like a OCD on some of the rendering detail some of these guys get up to. I don't have that. And as a matter of fact, I was watching some YouTube guy, a very good painter, was talking about he had a art teacher that kind of semi-liberated him from the notion that he had to learn his drawing in and out as a skill. And his art teacher came up to him, saw him working on something, and said, "Oh, I see you're not really into the idea of drawing. You're a big shape guy. You're the shadow shape guy or whatever." And he realized that she was totally right. She just said, "Yeah, you're a painter." And with that label, he realized, wow, she just saw everything about me. Okay, hey Scott, you're back.
I have no answers.
You have no answers. Well, I looked up a little bit of Warren Beatty. I didn't see anything either.
I don't think I'm thinking of Warren Beatty. I have no answers.
Okay. Well, wait a second. I thought you just said it was a Warren Beatty movie.
I thought it was. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, there was somebody that anyway.
Okay.
The story falls apart if I don't know the name of the movie.
Yeah. No, you have to eventually
put up or shut up, right? Or something.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you have to know the name. Speaking of names of movies, you know who this comedian Hader is? His name is
Bill Hader.
Yeah, Bill Hader. That guy is a huge film buff, and I'm seeing all these little short clips where he talks, gives 5-minute impressions, reviews of movies, and he's obviously bouncing off somebody. I don't know what the main thing is, but he knew all about Last House on the Left and its relationship to the Virgin Spring, which has got Max von Sydow in it, and directed by the famous Ingmar Bergman guy.
What's the connection? I mean, I haven't.
Well, they're the same story. The Virgin Spring was done well ahead of before Wes Craven did it as Last House on the Left, and they just both happen to be movies I'll never watch again. And what's funny is the Ingmar Bergman, and Last House on the Left is just ugly, nasty stuff you'd never want to put yourself through again. And what's funny is Bergman outdoes that. He really does. It's not done graphically or anything, but it's done so much more horribly. It's like you'll never want to watch that young girl attacked again.
Yeah.
And it's got this one poetically beautiful scene where her head, as life passes from her body, is resting on the ground, and from underneath it, a spring starts. Water flowing from under her head, and I guess that's it. She was on top of a spring, and she just opened it up with her lifeless body.
It's like a friend of ours, our friend Barry, said. He was talking about when he died, he wanted when he fell to the ground, he wanted his head hitting the ground to be the thing that caused his entire house to collapse around him.
That is great. I like that idea. It's like, bring it all down with me.
It's just like
everything I paid for. I just want it to end with me. So that's Barry. Okay, that sounds like all of us, doesn't it? I like that.
Well, no, I mean
maybe not all of us. All of us are a little more legacy oriented.
All of us without spouses, maybe.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, I mean, I don't. I've told my wife I don't, because my mom has said, "What's your wife going to do? What's Michelle going to do with all this stuff when you die?" Because I have a lot of books, obviously.
Uh,
I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
I mean, the library makes good use of some of this stuff. They just repurpose it. And I
Yeah,
miss and I
they a
missed that
lot.
sale this time around. I knew it was going to come, but I didn't
Oh
go
yeah,
to it
yeah.
again.
I didn't go. I didn't go. I can't take the. Well, first off, I don't need anything, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But I mean, second off, I mean, I just can't take because the people are too rude, and it's just like,
It's a pushy event, isn't it? It's not like nobody doesn't know
yes,
about it. There's quite a few people know about it.
yeah. And what's amazing, Ellis, is we go like when we were in San Antonio. Down the street from our hotel was the San Antonio Library. I went down there, and they had a room, and they just sold books all the time. You go there anytime.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of books, and to me, that is way more desirable than this
Hmm.
kind of nonsense. I don't. New Orleans, the same thing. New Orleans every Saturday. A lot of towns do that. Their library has a room that is dedicated to selling books. They may not do it all the time, but they do it more than once a year. And it's I mean, and I don't understand. Well, the only reason the library gets away with it or does it, I think one of the reasons why they do is because they have a lot of people volunteer. And I
Hmm.
think if you had to dedicate somebody to run it, you might not have any volunteers. But I don't care. I mean, I've got a lot of books. I mean, I went to the comic shop the other day and I bought me a book, and I was reading it. I took it to work with me and I was looking at it, and it was cool. It's like, okay, this is cool. But if I didn't buy it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It's not like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I got a few things that I like that if I had to move to if they put me away in a home or something, I'd want to take with me. But most of the stuff is pretty transitory, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got so many books that why did I buy them? I looked at them and thoroughly and devoured them that first go, and it's like, now will I ever look at it again? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I've
I'm not
kind of
sure if I
gone
will.
through my library, not all of them, but I'll go through it if I find something maybe I have two copies of, I'll find one to get. Like the Conan book I gave you,
Yeah, yeah.
I ended up two copies. I was like, well, Ellis would love this, I think. And so I asked and you said sure. And so I gave you the Conan book, you know. But
I
it's one of
got
those
to
deals.
yeah, I got
I
to
didn't
get started on it and see if it hooks me. Yep.
Yeah, well, the that version. I think it's Del Rye. There's the good thing is they are illustrated, so
Mhm.
they're photos or not photos. There's drawings in there. The bad thing is they're chronological, so they're in the order that they were published. So you start off with him, learning his craft, so to speak, so the quality of the story should get better as it goes along, But
Oh yeah, as a guy that just barely got his book written in terms of like feeling like there was any point in it at all. No, no, I really enjoy knowing about Howard and his process and all that. Have you ever seen the Whole Wide World? Uh,
is that the book about Robert E. Howard
the movie.
or
It
the
was written
movie?
written by his good friend, a woman who went on dates with him and stuff like that, and she knew she was around somebody that was a different guy. She has there's a scene in it where she comes upon him while he's basically like a good animator or whatever. He's living the thing
Oh
as
yeah,
he's writing it. He's talking out loud and doing all sorts of stuff that might you might throw a net over somebody if you didn't know that that
yeah.
was him being creative and just totally into what he was doing, and that's how he wrote. And what
Yeah,
else was
that
in there? The
that
whole
makes
wide
sense.
world. Yeah.
I've got a book that's a biography of Robert E. Howard. I think it's called Blood and Thunder, maybe.
Hmm.
Hang on, I know exactly where it's at. because it's.
Okay.
I was looking at it the other day. I haven't read it. I need to read it, but
Yeah, that's all of us, isn't it? We have to get around to using this stuff.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think I've read more of it than I thought I did. It's
There you
kind.
go.
It's a
Found that bookmark that
yeah, yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio and Rene. That's the deal. Vincent D'Onofrio. That's my favorite role. Of his actually playing Robert E. Howard.
Blood and Thunder: The Life and Art of Robert E. Howard.
Huh. Let me look.
Oh,
There it is. Look at him. Look. Yeah. That was one of his favorite
with a
photos.
pistol and a knife, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
That could have been referenced for a pulp cover. Yeah, right there.
it could have been. So I gave you my extra Conan book in that same which I read all that Conan stuff when I was a kid, but it was in the paperbacks, and it was edited and supposedly, and L. Sprague de Camp and somebody else really put their mark on it, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I also have I'll go in the order of the preference. El Barak, which is and Other Desert Adventures, which is his adventure stories. But I just read Black Vumala's Vengeance, his pirate book. Bran McMorn, Cull, and Solomon Kane. Solomon, of all of his stuff, I think Solomon Kane may be the one I like the most.
Yeah, Solomon Kane is the one that is about his passion is deep for doing all that revenge that he gets up to. Yeah. He realizes he's been put on this earth to get rid of guys like the guys he's after. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the hand of vengeance. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Razor Fist is a big fan of Solomon Kane, if I remember right.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, Razor Fist is. Did you check out? Razor Fist recommended the Shadow Knows, a documentary, and I sent you a link.
You sent me the link. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It's pretty good. I got kind of hooked on it for a while there, and I managed to download it from that archive.org site, and I'll get around to watching it.
Well, I'm a big Shadow fan. I have a large number of the pulp reprints.
Yeah.
I have not got them all yet. That guy will not email me back, and when I was hot to do it, now I don't want to say my funds have tightened up, but we've had some expenses. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, do I need to spend another couple $1,000 on, I've probably got 80 of them. Do I need to get the other 100, or whatever the number is, and it's like, well,
yeah.
I mean, I have more than I could ever read, more than likely, and at least until
unless you think you were going to become the archivist of record, there's not really that much point in getting that many. That's the cool thing about the documentary. It talks about, the main guy, Maxwell
Grant.
Yeah, and his, goes deeply into his backstory and the fact that he's not the only one. There's other guys that were doing it, right?
Yeah. I've got his biography, which I have read, and it's fascinating. He was a fascinating guy, and he put out. God, I think he was doing like 4 of them a month at one point, or something like that.
Yeah, that's the deal. That's I think that's the key on all of these guys that really were meant to be writers. They worked in the trenches, being newspaper writers and stuff like that.
Yep,
and they could whip it out. It's like this is nothing. I can write you a story by tomorrow, and kapow! There's no.
There's
writer's
no
block going on. They're not making little excuses.
That guy never had writer's block.
Yeah.
Well, and I so like when I was a kid, they were reprinting the Doc Savage novels, and they did some of the Shadow, but not very many of them. And so I was into that. Well, my dad would always talk about the Shadow, but via the radio show,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of grew up with that a little bit around. Well, then when I found two of the paperback reprints, The Gray Fist and The Shadow's Shadow, and I read them, and I was like, "This is great." And I'd found cassettes of the adventures, the radio show,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was just really just like, wow, this is really cool. When I was a kid, I was, and so I never was a huge, even though I bought a lot of them, never and read a bunch of them. I was never a huge Doc Savage fan. That was
Mm-hmm.
Dave was, but I was not so much. But I really liked the Shadow, and I just thought he was a cooler character.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Well, that's part of what this documentary goes into. It's like before there was the Shadow, there was Lupin, the master thief in
oh yeah,
France, and there was
yeah,
also they go into everything that some of the things that Grant was crazy about as a guy that creative that is kind of informed what he got up to with the Shadow. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I'd like to get all the. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get all those pulps, but I've kind of decided if I don't get them all, it's not the end of the world.
You know.
But it's amazing that I've got as many as I do, and they fit in two comic short boxes.
Oh, that's
And
pretty
I've
cool.
got all my. I've got other. I got. I'll show you this one book I got since I'm here
Where do you get your short boxes?
at the comic shop.
Okay. How much do you pay for them typically?
Maybe like $10, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay. Shoot, I'll go buy, what's that fellow's name up here that's over on Western?
Oh, Atomic Pop.
Yeah, Atomic Pop. Yeah, I'll have to go by there some. Go by there for one reason to buy a box. Yeah, I need to put my comic books that I never bought from you in a
Somewhere.
box.
So I bought this recently. Um, this is a book called The Shadow: The History and Mystery of the Radio Program, 1930 1954. So I saw this book at a used bookstore in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of those deals where I saw it and it was $60 for it. And I think I looked online, and that was about what it was going for online. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, I want it, but I don't want it $60 worth. So I kind of put it in my Amazon wish list and set on it. Well, uh, the so a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I was looking through my Amazon wish list, and I realized someone had a used copy they were selling. And it was like 20 or $25, maybe 30. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get it. I've thought about it since I passed up on it. I'm gonna buy it, and so I bought
Mm-hmm.
it. Well, the guy that wrote it is in a Shadow Facebook group that I'm part of, and he goes, I have some bad news. My basement is flooded, and all of my stock of that book is gone, except for, he said, I have like 20 copies left. If you want them, I'll sell them. But it's like, the book is gone. It's like, oh my gosh, So I was glad to get that. And after I bought it and then that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I about missed it because it would have killed me. Not killed me, but it just one of those things I saw and I was like, I kind of want that. I should get that. You know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the wish list is a good thing to have, or it's smart of Amazon to have it. Hey, I just had this wild little experience, and I heard it happen. I knew something had popped when I clicked my little clicker G2 pin,
yeah.
and it basically and I've had this happen before with any ballpoints, these little gel pens. It literally blew out the little ball at the end, and now
Oh,
there's
geez.
a very fine little wire at the end of it, which makes these big inky marks now rather than a controlled line. And it's like, wow, cool. But like I say, I've had it happen on those Muji pens. Actually, a couple of them. All,
Really?
all of a sudden, you're drawing along and says, "What is this sharp tool I'm drawing with?" All of a sudden, because it's not rolling anymore.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's a goner. Had plenty of ink left in it too. I also looked up, curious about how pens are made, and that amber fluid there, that's called the follower.
Okay.
That keeps the ink from ever meeting the air, so that it doesn't
Oh,
dry out
okay.
in the barrel. And it's also a chemical thing that it's going to attach itself to, instead of stopping halfway or forming a vacuum lock or anything. It just follows the ink all the way through its life, and
Yeah.
it's an industrial secret. People have
No,
every
really.
pen company has its own little secret for the follower.
That is funny.
Yeah,
The
yeah, it's funny what you can find out when you use Google.
There's a documentary that was on Amazon and now it's gone, but it was called the number two, and it's about the number two pencil. And I on my
Huh.
list to watch. I never watched it. It's like, oh man, I would love to have seen, something about the number two pencil.
Yeah, I bet the reasons for the number two, and I'm sure it's bottom line. Someone said, no, we can't deviate from this number two.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, now I'm
The
on an '07 instead of an '05.
well, the story about the space pen, don't you?
The space what?
The Fisher space pen. You're familiar with that, right?
The Fisher space what?
Pen.
Oh yeah, yeah, the one that could write upside down.
Yes, yeah. Which, by the way, I have one around here somewhere, but it doesn't have a clip on it, so I lost the stinking thing. Anyway, the so the story is NASA made like, and I don't know if this is true. I've heard it's true. I've heard it's not true. NASA made this huge investment during the space program to develop this pen that could write in zero gravity,
Uh huh.
and they, it was like millions of dollars, typical
Yeah,
thing, millions of dollars into this thing. So the joke is they did that, and supposedly this is true, but the Russians used a pencil.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't know if I
Exactly.
believe it. I don't know if you could use a pencil in a space. I mean, it would write obviously, but I don't know if the shavings would. But anyway, that's the story that I've heard, is that NASA, of course, used.
Have you heard of this movie? It's on Netflix, and you don't have Netflix. I know that, but uh, the Adam Sandler movie, Spaceman, is actually
No.
pretty good. Well, I'm calling it pretty good because it appeals to me as a real low key kind of cool thing. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of and has a lot of similarities to the movie Solaris, which is another
Oh, really?
super slow moving movie. You know,
I've watched part of that on Canopy, I think, or
yeah,
something.
probably so. Yeah,
Or no, Max. It's on Max. The original one's on Max.
yeah, I'd really dig that movie. I think I've, as slow as that is, I think I've committed myself to watching that at least two times. I don't know what there is about it. I just dig it. That particular director, he directed something else
Yeah,
called Stalker, which is also extremely slow. I haven't watched
yeah.
Stalker twice, but I've watched.
Some movies are like that. Some movies are just like, I enjoyed watching this,
Yes,
and it makes no sense why.
yeah,
Under the Silver Lake was kind of like that. It wasn't
yeah,
slow
yeah,
by any
yeah.
means,
Exactly. You
but it's
were
just one
a
of those
multiple
weird.
time watcher of that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got the DVD. It's just one of those deals. Like, this is kind of a weird movie, but it's kind of fun.
it was a kind of a fun unpacking thing, and that is the deal. If you can keep your viewer engaged and wanting more, which is that's all that movie is about. It's like, come along, you're going to go for a trip with this guy as he unpacks everything. And does he even really want to know it all? He might be some sort of,
I don't think he wants to.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. He might
not
find
when he
out he's
not when he
a dog killer.
or
You
not when
know?
he yeah not when he finds out what's really going on. I don't think he wants to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Under the Silver Lake is an interesting movie. I think
Another recommendation tonight. Yep.
there's whole web pages dedicated to unraveling all of the weirdness in that movie in terms
Yeah.
like hidden clues and all this kind of stuff.
It's got
You
that
know,
weird guy with the eyebrows that
yeah,
he ends up being a murder victim, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. And then the weirdo, the musician that wrote all the songs.
Yeah,
You're just under the impression you're listening to original
that's
music. He
right.
wrote all of them.
I wrote all the songs,
Yeah,
and then he proceeds to play them as
yeah,
proof. The well, and Andrew Garfield, uh, in the worst of the Spider-Man movies, but maybe one of the most versatile of the actors that
yes,
played Spider-Man. And I mean, I have no feelings one way or other about the current one, but I liked Tobey Maguire. I thought his Spider-Man movies were the best,
hmm
but Andrew Garfield just kills it in that movie and in a bunch of other stuff I've seen him in. He played Jim Baker in The Eyes of Tammy. I think it's The Eyes of Tammy Faye,
hmm
the Tammy Faye movie or something like that. But
hmm
you know, I mean, if you can play Jim Baker, then
I picked up Barbie the other day, and it's one of those things I didn't even check to see if put it on hold or anything. It was as I was walking out of the library, there it was. I said, "Well, I'll get this."
there
And then as I'm returning it, I walk out and there's Oppenheimer. I'm
you go.
75th in line for that. I'll just pick it up right now for
How could
whatever
you be
reason. It's like,
75th in line when it's on the shelf? That makes no sense.
yeah, I know it. It's kind of weird. But so I walked out with that, so I'm waiting to watch that. I might just watch an hour or so of it tonight.
Yeah,
Put
I
it
got to
back
figure out.
in, put it back in the system since everybody's waiting for it.
Well,
Supposedly,
I think tomorrow I'm gonna walk around downtown because the weather's supposed to be beautiful.
I bet.
Uh, so I'll drop you off and then head downtown and maybe eat a chili dog.
Oh
Maybe
boy.
not. Well, you're always welcome to go, Ellis.
Well, I guess that could be my road test for the car, but I don't know if I want that. Well, it doesn't matter. Wherever it stops, if it stops, is the wherever I get picked up anyway. So I could go down there with you afterwards. I
Yeah,
don't know.
if you want to think about it. I mean, the good thing is you won't have to meet me. You just think about it and let me know.
I'll just be behind you. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, yeah.
I got to get some gas. I'm sure of that. I had less than a quarter of a tank, I think, when these
Oh
guys
my
started
gosh.
checking on
Yeah,
seeing if it was overheating.
yeah.
So
Maybe on fumes.
yeah,
Uh,
it's been an hour, Scott. You want to call it
yeah.
quits?
Yep,
Okay, we'll
I'm
meet
fighting a
tomorrow
dying
ourselves.
sticker. Yes, absolutely.
And you're
I,
going to come by around a little after 10 or something like that.
I'm gonna leave work as close to 10 as I can. If something comes up and I'm gonna be later, I'll text you. But I'll probably call you on my way over there so that you know.
Okay.
But I'd look for me about like 10:15. I can get when there's no traffic. I can get to your house pretty quick on the highway.
Yeah.
So for my work. So yeah, look for me about 10:15. But I'll call you when I leave my office. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, okay, I'll end the stream.
Yep.